predicting the WrestleMania 42 match card. I'm Will, that's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling podcast. As always, cheers, talk about some wrestling.
Yeah, we're a week away, a little over a week away from Survivor Series, one of the big four. I believe the day that this comes out, we are 149 days away from WrestleMania, so it's kind of a little bit far away, but it's also going to be here real fast.
We're creeping up on it. We're creeping up on Mania season, and we were one of the podcasts, one of the content creators that never came out with our predictions way out in advance. Now that we have a little bit of what's been going on and we're kind of moving into that season, we figured we could have some more realistic picks. We'll probably reevaluate them closer to. But let's get into this. Make sure to follow the podcast on absolutely everything. You know what to do. Check the live stream out, youtube.com/CodWrestlePod. Let's do this thing. WrestleMania 42, two-night event. Obviously, it's in Las Vegas again. Yep. I mean, why wouldn't you go back to back in Las Vegas for the first time ever? But let's break this down. I think we're going to do it to where we're going to start with kind of like what we see the mid-card titles looking like at Mania. And then we'll get on to the big-time titles and kind of do our Chamber and Royal Rumble predictions. And then we'll do some blood feuds, some non-title matches that we see happening down the road as well. But let's start with, let's start with the Intercontinental titles. What do we have that happening at WrestleMania? Let's start with the women's IC title. Who's going to be champion? What's that match look like?
Yeah, that one is one of the ones that I'm actually more fairly confident in, or at least pretty excited about this one. So obviously Maxine Dupree is your newly crowned women's IC champ. I don't think she ends up holding it all the way. I think she ends up losing it in a feud to Roxanne Perez. And honestly, I know this one differs a little bit from what you probably have, but I got Roxanne Perez against Liv Morgan. I think it just kind of makes a lot of sense, right? It's right there. The opportunity is right there. I kind of have this, spoiler alert, I guess, as the final, like, unofficial end to Judgment Day stuff. I know we've been waiting on it for years and years and years at this point. Well, you're kind of just waiting until Liv Morgan comes back, so I got that happening here.
Yeah, I'm with you on Roxanne being the Intercontinental Champion walking in to WrestleMania. And why I wanted to start with the Intercontinental title specifically is because I have both titles being wrapped in the Judgment Day fallout. The complete breakup, the complete collapse of Judgment Day will be happening here. But I have Roxanne Perez taking on Raquel Rodriguez, one-on-one action for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 42. And that rolls right into my men's IC championship because I have the triple threat. I have Dirty Dom versus Finn Balor versus JD McDonough. Judgment Day themselves going one-on-one for the IC championship. I think it'd be really cool for the Judgment Day collapse to just crescendo at WrestleMania 42.
Yeah, I don't have Raquel actually on my card. Spoiler alert. I guess she could be there as like the bodyguard, the manager. Maybe she has to end up picking a side. Does she side with Roxanne or does she side with Liv? Who really knows, sort of thing, right? She's got to choose. I think that'd be an interesting dynamic. I didn't do a triple threat. I just did Dom versus Finn, but at the same time, I did sit there and think about it. And I was like, yeah, it would be really cool if they did that. Also dating back to like some old school shenanigans stuff that you're like, hey, this doesn't really make any sense in hindsight. But I could also see them doing like Dom and Liv versus Finn and Roxanne. Winner gets both titles. Why does that make any sense? I don't know, but it sounds like Attitude Era booking to me. People always talk about that, so sure.
Yeah, that actually sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I'd be down for
tag match for both titles. Why not?
I have Liv on this card, but we'll talk about her in a bit. But it feels nice to know that we both are on the same page of like, come on. The Judgment Day breakup has to be coming at this point. We're like 44 years into it feels like, and it being at WrestleMania would be a good stage to really end this faction that's been going on for the better part of 5, 6, whatever years at this point.
Yeah,
so
a long time.
Move on to the U.S. title thing. This is up in the air fully, right? Because both the U.S. titles, the men's U.S. title is finally great again, right? They really did good stuff there. They've had the open challenge with Sami Zayn and now Ilya Dragunov. So it's being shown weekly, and the match quality is the highest match quality out of any title in all of professional wrestling, maybe at this point. So that's great. But let's start with the men's U.S. Championship. Who walks in to Mania, the U.S. champion, and what's that match look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't have it on my card.
You don't have it on your card?
Which sounds crazy to say, right? I do think by then Carmelo Hayes is your men's U.S. champ. I think he's actually in some sort of program at that point now. Is he doing open challenges? If they continue the open challenge thing, you could just easily throw that on a WrestleMania,
Yep.
or you could even do it the night before, which either way. But I don't have it on my card, and it's nothing against Carmelo. It's nothing against the title. That all really kind of means a lot. I just think that there's a real opportunity here, or I shouldn't say an opportunity, but there's a chance, I should say, that a lot of what people want to happen on this WrestleMania probably isn't going to happen. I started looking through some of the matches, and I'm like, well, if you do this and you do this and you do this, some of the star power that they have, I just don't know if it makes the cut.
Oh yeah, I mean 100%. There's not every title is not going to be defended. That just now that's a thing that we have to get used to with WrestleMania. Is that it's 2 days, so it would make sense for all the titles to be defended, but they just don't. It just doesn't happen. So I'm not surprised. What I do have here is Carmelo Hayes walking into WrestleMania as the U.S. champion, and I got him fighting Javon Evans, man. I think it's being shown to us right here, right now that yes, Javon's losing matches, but he is being brought up to face people on this main card, and I think all he's done is just show off what he's capable of, and I guarantee he's been impressing people backstage. And it's November now; we got a bunch of time till WrestleMania. I would be shocked if they haven't brought him up in a full capacity by then. And Carmelo versus Javon Evans, give me that any day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, if you go ahead and do that, you can sign me up for that if they do that. I am nervous about if Carmelo does have the title, do they book it correctly? Because to me, that's a correct booking, right? But you have glowing reports about Javon, not only from John Cena, but Sheamus. There's all these veterans that really have knowledge and stake about hey, this guy's really good. They all speak highly of Javon. So if that does end up happening, if that does make the card, sign me up. That sounds fantastic.
So let's move into the Women's United States Championship. Right now, Miss Chelsea Green is the only two-time U.S. Women's Champion in the history of the WWE. So congratulations to her. This is tough, though, because the Women's SmackDown roster right now is, it is what it is. I mean, they have pieces, but a lot of them are being kind of fed. It looks like right now they're going to be fed to Jade in the meantime in terms of the Mishins of the world, the B-Fabs of the world. Tiffany hasn't come back since she lost, so what is she going to do? What do we have for the women's U.S. title if you have it on your card?
Yeah, it's kind of weird to say that I do have this on my card, but I don't have the men's, and you're like, well, the men's scene is actually so much better than the women's scene, so how does that make any sense? Well, honestly, there's a lot of time between now and then. Things can go up, things can go down, sort of thing. I have Sol Ruca actually as champion, probably walking into Mania versus Tiffany Stratton. So I have that feud. I do think Sol Ruca takes it off of Chelsea Green at that Saturday Night main event. I really like that idea that you talked about. And honestly, I looked at it. I don't know if Tiffany walks in. I don't know if Sol walks in. That's just a matchup I want to see. I also thought, hey, I got to get Tiffany on the card some way, somehow for WrestleMania 42. So go ahead and put her in that. So that sounds awesome to me. Like I said, I don't really know who's champ, who walks in. Is it Tiffany? Is it Sol? Do I really care? No, I just want to see that match. So I said, you know what? Give the people what they want. Let's have that match on there.
Yeah, I really couldn't come up with anything logical here. I really couldn't. I love the Sol Ruca thing. I know that I came up with that. I said I would love to see Sol Ruca win the damn thing at Saturday Night main event, given the John Cena stipulations that he's added to it. So maybe that does happen. I have Sol somewhere else on my Mania card. I just said freaking fatal four-way this. F it. I mean, Triple H last WrestleMania proved that if he likes a lot of people, he has no problem throwing them all into the match. I had Tiffany walking in as champion, her facing Chelsea and Julia and Kiana James at this point, which I know people will roll their eyes at, but obviously they're putting Kiana James into some prominent position, at least trying right now with the Julia thing. So I don't foresee Julia and Kiana James being on the team very much longer. You're eventually going to have to establish Kiana, on her own. I didn't have anything else to do with these women, and they should make a WrestleMania card. So I said, screw it, throw them at the U.S. title. That was my logic.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, that's what they did with the IC title last year. I wanted to kind of do that for some of my matches, but then I was like, well, I don't know if that makes any sense. So it is kind of tough. I mean, that's a really tough position. I don't think we see Chelsea holding that title for very long. So maybe it is that Tiffany ends up beating Chelsea and you go there. I don't know.
Tiffany versus Sol Ruca sounds better.
Because if you don't have Tiffany, Tiffany obviously lost to Jade, got, somewhat squashed, and we haven't seen her since. But it's what does she do if it's not some sort of U.S. title scene? Because I don't see her going back in the main event. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, me neither. We will move on. Tag team matches. I'm wondering if you even have your tag team championships booked in this. I mean, last year it was a big deal that the only one that was booked was it was the women's and the Raws, but the Raws was all about the I don't remember what it was. Clash of Clans.
Yeah.
It was the Clash of Clans War Raiders where it was just tacked on there real quick right before Mania just for the advertisement here. But your women's tag team championship should definitely be defended, especially given the amount of teams that we have right now. Kabuki Warriors have those titles and we are thriving in that division. But what does it look like at WrestleMania 42?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about that and you talk about that thriving division. I had also thought, I don't know what to do with this going forward. So with the Kabuki Warriors, I thought, well, you know what? I don't even know if they'll have the titles then, so I'm just going to take the easy way out. I'm not putting them on the card. Yeah, that's a bad choice. But you know what? I only have one set of tag titles actually making WrestleMania 42. It's not the women who should. Let me say that. They should, but they're not. I also have the SmackDown tag titles not on here. I have those actually defended the night before. I have the Lucha Bros versus the MFTs. I think the night before would be kind of a nice little appetizer. You get Penta and Ray back together. Why not? Should that be Mania? Yeah, maybe so, but who knows, right? People are going to kind of hate this when I say this. I got the Raw tag team titles on there. I got the Dragons with Style actually holding those tag titles all the way to WrestleMania 42. It's AJ's last WrestleMania, so I feel like he's got to kind of be on the card. And it's against the Undeniable Vision. I've got Bronson Reed and Austin Theory actually teaming together. I figure the Vision must stand tall some way, somehow. They always end up sticking their nose where it doesn't really belong. Do they maybe deserve a Mania match? Probably not, but I just think that's what's going to end up happening.
You fantasy booked the hell out of it. I mean, that's respectable. That's respectable. That's all we're doing right now. It's all subjective. But I did have the women's card or women's titles making, and I have Kabuki Warriors remaining champs are going into it. And this is where we talked about on our recent dethroning video. Go ahead and listen to that and watch it. That we both think that a current main roster team doesn't exist to beat them. Well, this team has showed up with the main roster, but not fully. I just threw Zaruka at it. Do I think that they are going to remain a tag team that long, given the teases that we kind of have seen here and there over the past year with them? Maybe not, but if you do want to fully move them up, them as a tag team, strong together makes sense. And I said, screw it, put Soul in that position at WrestleMania. Zaruka versus Kabuki Warriors could be a really good title match there. SmackDown Tag Team Championship. They screwed the pooch last year, and they didn't put the ladder match on WrestleMania, and it stole the show at the SmackDown either before it. I think it was before it, right? The SmackDown before it. Put it on this year.
I think after.
Was it the one after?
Because I think people were like, what the hell?
This is better than Mania. Yeah, you're right. It was after it. Put it on it this year. Yeah, they did that on the SmackDown after WrestleMania last year. And why would they do it again? Because it deserves to be on the freaking show this year. So do it this year. I don't care. Just rerun it. And then for the Raw Tag Team Championships, I had American Made coming back because Chad Gable should be back versus the Lucha Bros. Lucha Bros, American Made, Raw Tag titles. Probably won't make the show. That might be a Raw after Mania. But you know what? If I'm going to try to get them on the card, that's how I do it.
Yeah, we got the Lucha Bros at least fighting that weekend for some tag titles.
Yeah,
whether it's one way or the other. I think the MFT stuff makes a lot of sense. MFT's feuding with Ray. Well, like feud with a lot of people, but Ray Phoenix right there. He needs some help maybe. He ends up getting Penta. I really kind of wanted to put Penta in some singles action, but I really thought about it, and I was like, I don't have a way to do that.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
That's exactly me too.
And with the Vision stuff, the Vision, it just feels kind of inevitable to me.
I have the Vision elsewhere in my card. I do have Solo somewhere else. I don't have the MFT. Man, how are you gonna squeeze the MFTs out for another 4 months to get them into a nice WrestleMania spot?
I don't think you want to, but I'll talk real quick too. You talked about the Kabuki Warriors, who I don't have as a tag team. I have Asuka versus Io with Kyrie in terms of maybe she's there in terms of on Asuka's side. We may also maybe just see a triple threat of them. That would be Io cool. Versus Asuka versus Kyrie. Why not? Io, I struggled to kind of fit her in the main title scene that we'll kind of talk a little bit about. I think the money feud is Io versus Asuka, but then it's also like I personally, selfishly want to see Kyrie get some time. She's built up a lot of stock in my opinion, and I think a lot of people. So I'm like, screw it. Have her have issues with Asuka too, and just have them all fight. Yeah, a triple threat would actually be awesome, and you could that would make sense because I feel like by Mania you could tell the story of Kyrie being sick of both of them. Like I'm done with Asuka bossing me around, but at the same time, Io, you're the one who caused all this in the first place. So go on my own. And honestly, Kyrie getting a win right there would be really sick too. Let's get into the bulk of the big stuff, though. We're going to start. We're not going to give away our matches, but we're going to start with our Chamber and our Rumble winners. Our way too far out Chamber and Rumble winners to set up what we're going to do in our main events of WrestleMania.
or the main title matches of WrestleMania. So let's start with the Women's Rumble. Way too early Women's Royal Rumble winner predictions. Who do you got?
Yeah, it's way too early. I know the simple answer is probably Liv Morgan, and I know people are going to maybe hate on me for not choosing her, but I'm choosing Bianca Belair. I feel like that's the other simple answer. I feel like that's the gimme with the Rumble. It's like, hey, this opportunity is right here. We've been waiting so long for Bianca Belair to come back. It's also like, hey, she's got a story that you could just pick right up against Jade. So I have Bianca Belair winning the Women's Rumble.
Yeah, you said the simple answer is Liv Morgan, and that's why I picked the simple answer. If she doesn't show up at Survivor Series, which the rumors are having her maybe show up at Survivor Series this year, but if she doesn't and they are going to wait for the 2026 return, have Liv return at the Royal Rumble and win the damn thing. She's been a runner-up multiple times at the Chamber and the Royal Rumble. Like, eventually you got to give a dog a bone, right? Please, if she returns in early 26, make it at the Rumble and make her win the thing. Liv Morgan should win it. To move on to the men's side of things, our men's way too early Royal Rumble winner. Who do you got?
Yeah, I got the simple answer again. You took the Liv Morgan simple answer for the women's. I'm taking the simple answer for the men's. I'm taking Braun Breaker on this one. I feel like it just kind of makes sense from things. Also, you kind of look at it and I'm like, I want to kind of freshen up the main event scene at Mania. Let me make sure to clarify that, because you think about main event and you think about the Vision, because that's all they really kind of ever do. So yeah, I got Braun Breaker. I'm not going to exactly say who he's going to go against, but it kind of makes a lot of sense, and it's kind of right there in front of you.
Yeah, people have given me pushback on this because I've been saying it for a long time. I think Roman Reigns is going to win the Royal Rumble this year. Does he need it? No. Does it make a lot of sense right now in WWE storytelling? No, but I think we're going to make it work, and I think by the time we get to Rumble time, we're going to be discussing maybe a round 3 of a match, and I think Roman Reigns is going to win the Royal Rumble.
See, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I think Roman ends up getting cost by somebody. And that's who he ends up facing at Mania.
Ooh, okay. Chamber matches. Again, we're setting up our thing. Women's way too early Elimination Chamber prediction. Who do you got winning?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to really kind of deny Rhea Ripley. So I'm taking Rhea Ripley. I'm taking Stephanie to hold that title kind of all the way. I think some way, somehow, that's something I really kind of want to see. So I've got Rhea Ripley. I know people might be sick of it and be like, can you give her something else to do at Mania that's not the main event title scene? Well, I'm sorry. I tried. I couldn't think of it. She's also undeniable at this point. When she comes out, the pops, her promos are obviously top notch. The in-ring stuff. I mean, it's Rhea Bloody Ripley. So I got Rhea.
Yeah, I don't have Rhea. That does make sense. The other big return that I'm waiting for is Liv and Bianca Belair. And I think Bianca is more of a long-term thing given that finger. We really haven't seen much of her or even spoke about her much of her lately. So I think she's still far out. I think Chamber time would be absolutely amazing. By then, I think Jade will have a lot of stock built. A lot of stock built in Jade. And Bianca Belair coming back, winning that Elimination Chamber. Be back-to-back chambers for her. But that works for me. I have Bianca Belair winning it. And then we'll move on to the men's. Way too early men's chamber predictions. Who do you got?
Way too early chamber predictions. You might be able to guess who I would have Braun facing, right? Given the storytelling. So way too early chamber predictions. I've got Randy Orton. Now you may say, Randy Orton doesn't really need it. Randy Orton doesn't. Well, you know what? I want to see Randy Orton win the damn thing. I want to see Randy Orton go to WrestleMania to fight for a title. We talked a little bit about in previous stuff. Hey, if you don't pull the trigger now, some time kind of gets away. Some injuries may happen. People get older. Who really knows, right? Well, you know what? Give me Randy Orton here. If it doesn't happen now, I don't know when it's going to happen. So I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to be impatient, and I want it now.
You said Randy Orton, and I actually really like that answer. I'm not going to change my answer, but I like that answer a lot. The respect on Randy Orton needs to be brought back up. Get that man back on TV. A chamber win would be great, but Chamber's in Chicago this year, everybody. Chamber's in Chicago. And I don't think Punk's walking into WrestleMania with that title, spoiler alert, because I think CM Punk is going to win the Elimination Chamber and go on to main event another WrestleMania this year. So let's get into our Mania matches, our title matches, our main matches. Whichever you want to start with, go for it.
Yeah, you know what? I guess I'll just go with the one that's kind of like, oh, that's a little bit of an outside chance, but I'm going Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. I mean, come on. Do I need to really say much else? It just kind of hits you right in the feels and you're like, yeah, damn it. We talked a little bit about John Cena's farewell tour. How many times do we get this, or we didn't get this, or we didn't pull the trigger on this, or hey, we can't have Roman versus Seth this year because of Seth's injury. Well, Randy's getting up there in age. Obviously, his dates have dwindled, and the rumors are after Survivor Series, he'll come back. He's had some much needed time off. But if we don't get it this year, I don't know if I can wait until next year. That's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are going to choose the Cody Randy. And if I could have it my way, I'd probably choose the Cody Randy with one last really good heel Randy Orton run. That would be fantastic. But people push back on it whenever I say this in our live streams. I have Cody Roman round 3 happening this year. Las Vegas, Cody versus Roman. I know that we don't have much storyline going into it right now. The Survivor Series stuff, we'll see what kind of pans out from that. But I just have this gut feeling that Roman's going to win the title. And in Las Vegas, we're going to get Cody versus Roman round 3. I don't have much meaning behind it. I just have a gut feeling. So I'm going with my gut feeling on that one. I'll move on to what I think we both have for the women's WWE title. I got Bianca Belair taking on Jade Cargill. She's going to walk in champion still, like I said, with a ton of stock from probably beating up half of the roster by that point. And Bianca's going to come in there and defeat Jade in WWE title match at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I don't really know how you get there in terms of does Bianca win the Rumble? Does Bianca win the Chamber? Because I do like the idea of Liv winning the Rumble, but at the same time, I can see Bianca doing it. Those are really kind of your favorites. I can see Jade destroying somebody earlier in the night in terms of the Rumble stuff. And then maybe if you get a Bianca return, that's how you know you're like, oh boy, Jay's built all this stock up. She's destroying everybody. Bianca's back. You better watch out.
Yeah, I think that is definitely the way that we go. I think that's probably right now our most for sure match.
Yeah, that's the easy layup, I would say.
This one's tough, though. Women's World title match at WrestleMania. Who do you got going in as champion? What do you have that match being?
Yeah, so I have Stephanie Vaquer going in as champ. I have her carrying it all the way now. People might be shocked. The only time I could really see her maybe losing it is maybe at Rumble. So I don't know if they have somebody take it off her at Rumble, but I have her walking in versus Rhea Ripley. That just kind of makes sense to me. I don't know if people would push back on it. People might say Steph's not ready. I think she's more than ready. We've gotten 5-star matches with Rhea at Mania before, so why not give us one more, right? I want to see it. I don't know if people, like I said, are going to push back, but you see them on screen together or the little bit of interaction they've had. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. Sign me up. So that's what I got.
Yeah, I actually don't have Steph walking in as champion. I still am under the impression, and my prediction is that we will get Rhea versus Stephanie Vaquer at the Royal Rumble, and Rhea will topple Steph then. And like I said, I have Liv winning the Royal Rumble. So I think we do set up, in my opinion, Rhea versus Liv at Mania, which I'm very excited for because I think that too many times WWE waits too long to pull the trigger on their biggest feuds on the biggest stage, like Roman and Seth, that we're probably not going to get at this point. And this would be a great time to do it, especially with a returning Liv. There'd be huge momentum there. But I also had sat here and was like, I don't have Io Sky or Stephanie Vaquer on my card. And last year, we didn't have Rhea Ripley in the main title scene going into WrestleMania. And so Triple H just kind of phoned it in and put Rhea Ripley there. And it was a dumb storyline, but we got her there and we got the best match of WrestleMania. I said, screw it if you wanted to. Fatal 4-way it. Rhea, Io, Liv, Steph, your 4 biggest women's talents on the roster. Throw them in the biggest match of WrestleMania.
Yeah. The only pushback I would say is like that old school thought process of like, well, she won the Rumble, she should get a one-on match,
100%.
But they threw it out the window last year. So it's like, well, okay. Because
Exactly.
last year you were like, it made no sense, but they did it anyway. But then when the bell rang, you're like, yeah, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, then they tore the house down. So just do the exact same thing. I'll probably call it stupid in storytelling when that time comes if they do that. But guarantee those 4 would tear the house down. I would still have Liv win the damn thing, though. And then your men's world championship match. I had Punk winning the Chamber. You had Braun Breaker winning the Rumble, right? What do we got?
Yeah, it's Braun Breaker versus CM Punk. I feel like has to happen, right? I feel like they're building up to it. I mean, they're giving it to you on a silver platter, basically. It's like everything is pointing in this direction. Plus, in terms of Braun Breaker's side of things, you can really kind of establish him to where I don't know when Seth Rollins comes back, but Seth Rollins is probably wanting to gun for that title down the road whenever he comes back. He wants to go after Braun Breaker. So that's what I got.
Yep, I have Braun walking in as champion, though, because I do think that we're going to have Punk drop it before then, maybe even at Royal Rumble. I don't know. And we get the Vision being able to cost CM Punk or something, but I do think that Punk ends up dropping the belt, winning the Chamber in his hometown, and then going on to WrestleMania to fight Braun for that championship, which I think probably would have been Seth's spot if Seth didn't get unfortunately injured. But shoot Braun Breaker, man. Let it happen.
And I really like the idea of Punk winning it at Chamber in Chicago to go on. I like that idea. I also kind of think, though, that like, you know what? He's back home in Chicago. Maybe they just say, screw it. And maybe Braun Breaker's already won the Rumble by then. maybe CM Punk comes out for an appearance and everybody's super excited. Then Braun Breaker just comes out and beats the hell out of him.
Why wouldn't you?
Why not?
Why wouldn't you?
Sign me up.
Then we obviously went through our titles. We left a ton of people off the card, obviously, because WWE is stacked to the brim with talent right now. What just feuds, other matches do you want to see? Do you foresee happening at WrestleMania?
Yeah, so I didn't have Roman Reigns in either of my title matches, so I
didn't.
feel like I should start there. I've got Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso at Mania, and I know people are going to say, that sucks. No yeet. I don't want to see it. It just kind of makes sense.
Yuck.
And it makes sense in terms of what you got. I mean, Jey wants to be the next tribal chief or wants to be the new tribal chief. There's a lot of story elements that they're kind of continuing to lay in, time out. Am I going to be super excited for the match itself if this happens? No. But in terms of the actual build up to Mania, in terms of the story beats, in terms of Jimmy, in terms of the bloodline, do they somehow rope Sami Zayn into it? Does Sami kind of pick a side? Does he kind of talk about some truce or try to, talk words to Jey or talk words to Roman? I'll be excited and bought in for that. So while the match, I don't think it would really deliver at WrestleMania, I think the build up would.
Yeah, I went a little bit this way. I did Jey versus Jimmy versus Solo. So all the other not tribal chiefs, and then Jim, I guess, thrown in there. Again, I don't think MFT is gonna last that long. And I think at some point the only way to reestablish Solo as being anything of meaning, probably need to throw him back at the Jey Uso Jimmy bloodline or a festival one more time to see if you can reinvigorate the life into that. So, I mean, we kind of are on the same, thought process when it comes to Jey Uso at WrestleMania. I also went ahead and threw Charlotte and Alexa at it. I threw Charlotte and Alexa at it. I think those two are as top talent as you want. That's a great WrestleMania feud, and the breakup of the friendship will be a fantastic storytelling, especially if you go Alexa Bliss as heel. I think that would be great. So do you have that as well?
Yeah, I have that one. I feel like that's as much of a layup as Jade versus Bianca is. I feel like this is also that. It just kind of, the writing's on the wall to me, at least.
Yeah. And then I do want to talk about this one because I thought it was great. Celebrity match. I want Logan Paul versus Jelly Roll. They would tear the house down. That would be a great match. Singles match.
I'm going to ask you two questions.
Yeah.
So, because your Logan Paul feeds into one of my matches.
Okay.
What do you have Drew McIntyre doing?
I was like, screw it. I'm going to throw him at Gunther just because I would love that match in a singles match. I know we had Gunther, Drew, Sheamus not too long ago, but that match was freaking 5 out of 5 stars. I hate not having Drew in anything of meaning here, and Gunther feels like he needs to have meaning here, and he's not in the IC title scene for me. I was like, screw it. These guys need to be on a card. You know what? I'll throw them at each other.
I almost did that. I almost really did do that. But then I thought, Logan Paul versus Drew McIntyre, there's some story there.
Yeah, there is.
That sounds really good. Also, because I threw him in that because I looked at Gunther and I said, what the hell is Gunther going to do? And I said, well, there were rumors for a long time that he was going to face Brock Lesnar. And so...
Getting a call mid. We're doing it live. Get off me. How do I stop this? We're good.
So I had, in terms of Gunther, I said, well, what does Gunther really do? Because at that point, he'll retire John Cena. I was really on the train of like, yeah, maybe he retires John Cena and Goldberg and maybe a Brock Lesnar. Well, the rumor was Brock Lesnar versus Gunther at Mania a while back. So I have Gunther versus Brock Lesnar because I thought to myself, I don't really know what to do with Brock Lesnar specifically. And maybe he's not the one that retires Brock Lesnar. Maybe it ends up being like a Braun Breaker down the road or something like that, right?
Dude.
So I got Brock Lesnar versus Gunther.
I know it's on a little bit of a rambling spree here, but you could set up maybe a Drew versus Brock in the Survivor Series. Start planting the seeds there. Maybe they go at heads in the Survivor Series War Games match.
Yeah, I thought about that too, but we've seen it. I mean, I know it was different, right? Because it was a different Mania and things were kind of weird. But in terms of the Brock Lesnar, Gunther, Logan, Drew vortex, like those four specifically, I was like, and even Randy to an extent, how do I kind of maneuver people around here? Because I was like, I got no idea.
And just my last two that I have on here, because I want them to be on the card. I have LA Knight versus AJ Styles. The reason being, I think that AJ needs to be in his final WrestleMania. Odds are he's not going to be at the next one after that. LA Knight's got nothing to do. Screw it. Those two would be great. And then I have one that I would personally like that I didn't write down, but I thought about it as we were talking. In the Divas era, AJ Lee versus Nikki Bella. AJ Lee versus Nikki Bella. The ending of the Divas era right there. A final match.
So if AJ Lee doesn't fight Becky Lynch at Mania, which is what I have.
What does Becky do?
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, because in terms of that, I have Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee. I think they're going to stretch it out until Mania.
You think so?
Yeah. Now, I mean, I don't know how often AJ is going to show up.
Yeah.
So who really knows, right? So I have them stretching that out. 4 names that I thought were kind of big that I don't have anything for that I said, what do you do with these people? Bailey and Lyra. Yeah. I thought, what do you do with them? LA Knight and Sami Zayn. I also thought, what do you do with them? Yep. So I don't have. I almost said a loser. Loser leaves Las Vegas between LA Knight and Sami Zayn.
For you guys watching, just if you are watching this and you have time, start to jot down a Mania 42 match card prediction, and you'll realize how many people you leave out. Like, it's so hard to do. And then when we sit here and it comes around and you see all these multi-man matches, and everybody's like, all he can do is book multi-man matches and throw everybody. It's like, well, everybody wants to see all these people, and you only have so much time on the show, and you only have so many matches that, like, if you want to shove everybody into this thing, you have to have 5 fatal 4-way matches, and you have to have multiple, a triple threat tag, right? You have to have all this stuff because you just start leaving people off, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if you go the way of just like singles matches, I mean, because you look at the titles, right? Unless you do the triple threat stuff, you got 4 solo matches right there that take up. There were 14 matches last year, so you're like, well, that doesn't really kind of leave you with a lot of stuff. So there are people that are not going to make the card unless you do the multi-person matches, which I also understand the pushback there. But some people, admittedly, like, they may have solid years, but maybe they don't have Mania years.
I completely agree. Well, we just rambled off a bunch of jargon at you guys, but it was a lot of fun. It was we finally did our match card predictions for WrestleMania 42. Let us know in the comments. I just keep saying match card. Let us know in the comments what your matches would look like, because we're more interested in yours than we are ours. So that'd be great to hear.
Yeah, this guy didn't even have Becky Lynch on his card.
I did not.
Yeah.
To be fair,
she's the greatest
women's
wrestler of all time, and I'm not just saying that.
To be fair, she wasn't on the card last year until she just showed up and became a part of the card. So, maybe she can do that this year. Again, why not? That could be her WrestleMania shtick. Anyway.
Somebody called this guy out in the comments.
Anyway. I mean, I had good stuff on there.
I didn't say you didn't, but not having her on there. Travesty.
Yeah. Well, I've picked Nikki Bella over. You know what? Nikki Bella over her. Sticking to the gimmick.
You could just have a triple threat. You could have just added her in there.
No. Anyway, follow us on all of our stuff. Come stop by our live stream, youtube.com/CodWrestlePod, SmackDown, Raw, PLEs, including Survivor Series next week. So come watch it with us. It'll be fun. Then for everything else, at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod. We have a link tree in our bio to take you to all of our social medias. Like, follow, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, because we're confident you'll love the content. But I'm Will. That's Brandon. We're the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast, and we will see you next time.